Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Home Turf Podcast. I'm your co-host, Braxton Dore.
And I'm Justin Chen.
So, Justin, we're coming off a McNeese State blowout, 52-10. What's your thoughts? What's going on?
We looked good. First half was really effective. Second half, I think we can do a lot better. We did obviously give up that touchdown, and defensively, it looked a little rusty, especially in the fourth quarter. But albeit it was, garbage time. Weigman finally showed off his wheels. I think he's moving into that dual threat QB stance that Klein has carried throughout Kansas State. Our run game, I never thought we'd be a run-heavy school, and here we are 2 games in, and our offense is being carried by Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels. Defensively, our secondary is finally looking good, especially compared to last year. I'm really happy our secondary is moving up.
Agreed. Those 2 interceptions really did help, and they kept the Cowboys under 100 passing yards. It's not easy to do against any team usually that is a air raid heavy offense. And so I think it really just shows that they can show up. Now let's see if they can show up against a good opponent.
And we're going to the swamp for that one.
Yeah. Now let's just say Florida's not had the best start to the year, but you can't count them out.
It's still an SEC school. We're playing still at the swamp.
Exactly.
Albeit, I'm an honorary University of Miami fan attendee, either or, but they blew Florida out the water, and I'm hoping we can do the same.
Yeah.
And I think we need to do it with a good offense again. And I think it's going to be led by, once again, Moss and Daniels. I hope Weigman does not have a replication of that Notre Dame game. Yeah. I want him to stand firm in the pockets, take off when he needs to, because, he had wheels against McNeese State. He had moves and wheels.
Absolutely.
Albeit it's not as fast as maybe like a Henderson or Marcel Reed, but it's still there. I want him to just be confident in his decision. And defensively...
So, really defensively, what I'm looking at here is how are A&M's defense going to respond to the dual threat that is Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway? Because they're both healthy now. Mertz just got cleared. I fully expect him to see the field. I don't know how much he'll see it, since that concussion and everything. And Lagway did have a great game.
True freshman, too. It was a really good first game for him.
Against Samford, not a super, high-standing opponent, but, he still had 456 yards for the freshman record at Florida. So it's nothing to say that Lagway may not go off this game as well if the Aggie secondary can't contain. But hey, 100 yards versus McNeese, I give maybe 180, 190 to Florida, and I see us beating them still. I see it being close. Obviously, I don't see us beating them by 3 touchdowns, but I see a good 10-point win, I think. What were your opinions?
Honestly, I want to agree, or I want to say we beat them more just because,
you think so?
Again, Miami looked really good against them. Florida, under Billy Napier, it's been a very rocky era, and there are talks about sooner or later he's probably going to get gone. And I think this game is going to be a big mark for him in Florida. If they can keep it close and potentially win against A&M, then I think his job security is decent. But for the Aggies and for Elko, they need to go in there and not play down to Florida's level because, in my opinion, they are a lot better than Florida.
Exactly. And the Aggies are still alive in this playoff race. A lot of critics, a lot of analysts have counted them out, but you can't say that with a top 10 win against, or top 10 loss against, a ranked opponent. You can't count them out. And I really think that that's what we saw at McNeese. Or versus McNeese. I don't know. We're really going to see how they shape up in the SEC. That's going to be the real gauntlet for them. And the great thing is, all of their opponents that are either ranked or top of the SEC, they're all at home. We play them all at home. You got Texas at home. I think do we go to Missouri or do we host Missouri?
We host Missouri.
There's Missouri at home too. I really feel like this, with the way the schedule works, the path to the playoffs isn't unachievable. It actually works in the favor of A&M rather than against. And, you're really going to see the kickoff when they go play somewhere else. They don't have a good record on the road last year.
We haven't won in 3 years on the road.
Exactly. It's not good.
Again, it is the swamp too. As bad as Florida has been playing these past games, and honestly this past season, it is still an away game and one of the more tougher places to play. And so the Aggies just need to show right from the get-go, cut down the penalties, because there were a bit of penalties in both the Notre Dame game and McNeese State games.
Absolutely.
So
and
this
then
team
you
needs
had
to be
that
more
targeting
disciplined. Yeah, exactly.
in the Notre Dame, and then you
Mhm.
had several issues with. Did we see O-line issues in McNeese, or was it?
I want to say it wasn't
Was
too
it
bad.
D-line?
It was more D-line, and also
Okay.
we had some stuff with Moose.
I
Going
remember
after
about
some McNeese
that.
State receivers.
Yeah.
And so, like, this team just needs to play disciplined. That Florida crowd's could be riled up. Just keep your head in the game and do what you need to do and get your first road win in 3 years. It's kind of crazy that we haven't won in 3 years.
And I feel like a big part that we both failed to mention is their D-line. They have not produced, but I think one sack in the last 2 games. It's needing to get picked up, especially for how much hype that this new D-line was supposed to have. With Scorton and with Shamar returning, it's supposed to be more impactful than what we've seen. And you have those 2 interceptions versus McNeese, but that's versus McNeese. You need to start picking off and getting these big-time sacks, big-time plays for loss. That's where you're going to see this defense make their biggest impact. And if the defense isn't making their biggest impact, it's going to be a shootout. And I'm not confident enough in Wigman in a shootout yet. We'll see how we'll work down the line in the SEC, but I'm not that confident in it yet.
Especially last year. We had a shootout against Miami. Weigman looked good. We still lost because our secondary gave up 5 touchdowns to Miami's offense. Then we had another shootout against Ole Miss, and we still lost the game. It's like if we do get a shootout, sooner or later our defense needs to hold up, and our secondary has been by far the best aspect of that defense. And this esteemed D-line has not lived up to that reputation.
No.
And if it does, like sooner or later, the gears needs to just start clicking for them. If that happens, then this defense has a potential to be one of the best in the country, like it did last year, because it was led by this D-line.
Absolutely. Now, let's go ahead and move into soccer. So last time we talked, wasn't all good news. They were on I believe, a 1-game losing streak, but they had 2 losses in 3 games. Not very good. The only win was against Fairview, 3-0. Big whoop. You need quality wins against quality teams. And that's where they're going this weekend versus Central Connecticut and UConn. So let's kind of recap what happened this last week. We had a TCU game and we had a Louisiana Tech game. So the TCU game, 2-0 A&M win. You had that big goal from, let me look right here. It was Michaela McDonald to kick it off. And the last 2 games in TCU and Louisiana Tech, they haven't scored since the 50-minute. They didn't score until the 50-minute.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you expect to see with this Aggie offense returning with Michaela McDonald. You've got Mia Pante, you've got Calzada on the outside on defense that has that playmaking ability to go up and still make those good passes for assists, or just being able to take the ball from their own half and play it into the other's half. And it's just, you're not seeing that as much this year. You're seeing some slow starts. You're seeing some 1-0 wins, 2-0 wins. You're not seeing the same offense that you saw last. But I'd argue the defense is still there. The defense is still held down by Anderson Williams, Calzada, and then Matula. You've still got a great, solid back line, but that can't be enough when you play soccer. It can't. And so with all these new transfers, especially that they've gotten in the portal, Shea O'Rourke from South Carolina, you've got Allison Lowry from Rutgers, you got to see some of these people get in the position to make a ball playing in the first half. Like it's not wait and see if we can respond. It's wait and let's go. Mm-hmm. It's all gas, no brakes here. And that's how it started with LA Tech, minus the scoring. I got the opportunity to be there in person, and it was a good atmosphere. I liked the vibes of everything, but it was still only a 2-0 win, and the first goal happened in the 57th minute. So it's still, and it's not like they didn't pepper LA Tech. They got, I want to say it was, 14 shots in the first half. And then they followed it up with 16 in the second. Only 2 goals to show for that is not how you want to look, especially against a team like LA Tech. And you can credit the LA Tech goalie. She had a really great night. I believe she had 12 saves. She was electric. Props to her, but this is A&M. This is an A&M offense. You need to see more scoring from this team, especially what they've showed last year with a deep run into the playoffs, all the way until they met with the eventual national champions, Florida State. So, you see the good, you see the bad, but now you have to look on forward to when they go play against the Northeast teams.
In Connecticut.
Yeah. So, Justin, what's your opinion on let's just talk about the turf first. I don't know if you know this, but they actually have to go play on artificial turf in the Northeast, and they have not played on artificial turf since they've been in the Big 12.
Well, that changes it a little bit. I still have full faith in this soccer team. As you said, it's been slow starts, but we've grinded out especially a 2-0 win against TCU. That's still huge for our program, especially coming off a 0-1 loss to Baylor, and we were like shaky in the beginning of the season. At least we're winning these games now. It's heading in the right direction. It's slowly building up that momentum, especially going against a UConn team that is 4-1-1 right now. I think if we escape our Connecticut trip with 2 wins, if not maybe a draw against UConn, it'll be really good for our morale booster, for our, as you said, our offense. If we can get our offense going in the first half, then our defense, doesn't have to play not necessarily as hard, but it doesn't need to be fully focused on defense.
It doesn't need to be a lights-out game, exactly. Mm-hmm. And, you had 2 shutouts back-to-back with TCU and then LA Tech. You can boast about their defensive talent and their goalkeeping ability as well. Now you have Fuller with a, somewhat of a tweaker-type injury, not too bad, but she's expected to make the trip into the Northeast. I just don't know how much we'll be seeing of Sydney Fuller. She was the starting freshman goalkeeper. She was amazing for the first few games.
She won awards and accolades too.
Yes, no, she had I'm pretty sure she had Keeper of the Week one week, and they can't rely on a starter like they did with Kenna last year. They relied on Kenna the whole time. Any defensive fault, it was on her to make it up, to make sure that ball didn't get in the goal. It shouldn't be like that always. You need help from your back line, and especially when you've got a freshman starting right now. But you can't even say she's starting because it's been a toss-up between all 3 of them recently, with Veronica and with the McKellen, excuse me. So McKellen had a great start. She had a 0-2 win against LA Tech, but that was the first time she started this season. She's got great ability. She's a senior. She's got a lot of experience from playing under Kenna, but we need to see some other reinforcement from their back line. And I think that's what we should see when they go play UConn in Central Connecticut. I'm just not sure. That's going to be the deciding factor, in my opinion, because I feel like the pressure is on to score. They are good in that case. They just need to
execute.
Pretty much. They just need to execute from the get-go, and the defense will help them out, I believe. But that's all we've got time for soccer. Let's go ahead and move on to volleyball just a little bit. I know we've got a pretty good streak going on. Tell us about that, Justin.
We are 4-0 in volleyball. Our strongest program, or our strongest program. It's like last year where we had a really good start. I'm just hoping we can keep it up. We have the Texas A&M Invitational starting from Friday, running through Sunday. We're playing against the likes of Temple, UNH, and Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. Cajuns. I don't know why I said Cajuns. But this isn't the toughest schedule. But if you look at their the way they win against these smaller teams, it's exactly what they need to do. Maybe one set has been dropped in these past games. Only one set was dropped against McNeese. Everything else has been 3-0 blowouts. And I'm hoping with hopefully a clean sweep of this weekend as we head into a tougher schedule in these next 2 weeks. We're going up to Wisconsin, who's ranked 8th at the moment. Then we're playing Texas here in 2.5 weeks. These small teams, these small invitationals. It's like I said last week. You need to build up. You need to not play down to their competition level. You need to blow them out, and that's exactly what we're doing. And if we come out this invitational 3-0, 3-1 in all 3 games, we look really good heading into the tougher part of the schedule.
I agree, and that Wisconsin matchup is going to be the real deciding factor on how this set of the tone of the season is going to go. But that just about wraps it up for today. Thank you for tuning in for the Home Turf Podcast. Once again, I'm Braxton.
And I'm Justin.
And we'll see you later.